Hi, everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. We're looking into personality today, and we're climbing all the way to the ninth dimension to try to understand what this phenomenon is about. And we are going to communicate with the Syrians who have been present for me lately. But to look into personality and as it relates to these basic consciousness frequencies or densities that awareness can find itself focused in. And when we say that we're focused in the fourth density, which corresponds to the fifth dimension, then it is not as if the entirety of our being is within that, because it means that that's the peak or the top of the hierarchy of consciousness that we've been able to establish out of the chaos of the entirety within our regional system of order, our localized system of order, which is primarily our bodies and our personality, but then of course also the awareness structures that we're embedded in both personally and collectively, and also on a planetary scale. But that's to say that these fundamental layers exist around you, but also within your body. So, for instance, the bacteria in your gut, those are still existing in a type of first density experience. And they just exist basically in something that has the like very slight differential frequencies of pleasure, displeasure, um, being refreshed or of decrepit, being warm or being cold. These fundamental differences that are almost completely binary. And they don't really have a sense of agency. They're just following along and being swept up in a larger structure, where, for instance, the complexity of your cells already constitute a much higher level of order and organization and arrangement, and therefore they also have a higher degree of awareness, and even you could say a higher degree of choice or a sort of random individuality available to them. And that expresses itself in something like cancer, where you can sort of see that there's a variable at play where one cell can slightly dislodge itself from the restorative healing energy flow of the all, which is carrying it forward. And if it manages to do that and then create this closed space around it, then it can begin to draw other living cells into its vibration, and ultimately then destroy the wider system that it's a part of, which is the body, which then of course falls away from that system. And this is a process that repeats itself on all scales. So this is the idea of a fundamental choice that we have, and we may have a concepts around ourselves and that we're making a lot of choices, but usually we're carried away by these functions, roles, we're performing configurations that we made, and our fundamental choice is usually just one of positive or negative. And if you do negative, if you kind of step into this harmony, then there will be these experiences of Jonah being swallowed by the whale because he tried to get away from his Lord's commandments, and then he'll be carried back to his mission. But if you keep persisting, then you will dislodge yourself, and your life will become this kind of vibrational hellhole, this kind of dislodged structure that doesn't align with the flow of energy, and it will feel very entropic, very forced, very asynchronous. That is, it doesn't have these kind of melodies and harmonies that usually appear, and that I'm sure you recognize for when you feel tapped in or guided or in your energy and your flow, that there is this thing that seems to want to uh, get off your chest, right? And that is the thing that we're sort of here doing. And is that personal energy or will, or is that something that we're just participating in unwrapping? Something I've been very fascinated about is thinking about stone sculpting, because it's such a slow way to unwrap what it is that's being channeled through you. I think it's very hard to see something like Michelangelo's Pietà, some of Bernini's statues, like these great masters of marble, and not be awestruck by uh, the delicacy, the intricacy, the organic life, the beauty and the vision that's somehow unwrapped in that. And it's unwrapped more than it's embedded in the rock. It's somehow something that um they drew out of it by stepping into their own force and movement. And that's something the world soul is doing through them. And which is why it is so astounding to observe genius when it manages to express itself like it does in the Italian Renaissance or Baroque, where you find like these hands of the masters that are expression, a vision that's shaping and coming to pass and coming to be through them. And so whether or not you know what's the wind that's moving you, is that you need to go to the refrigerator to have a glass of water, or perhaps even something that's less healthy, because that's what's moving you, or it is the fact that you need to go there, or you need to do this thing, or you need to dedicate yourself to this thing. um, that is sort of the oversoul, that the higher self, that blueprint of the soul, that which we often call the soul contract, uh, that's writing itself out through you. And you of course have the choice to not align with it, but is that really a choice? Because of course it feels incredibly bad to step away from that for longer. And what seems to then be happening is that as we ascend, as our consciousness begins to take apart some of these structures that it has operated on and that are no longer functioning, it begins to replace them with a higher sense of agency. And with higher sense of agency, I mean that it has access to moving about, manipulating, aligning with more energy, higher energy states in its both in its own body's ecosystem frequency. Where it's obvious, like when we tap into these very high frequencies, they can feel very disruptive to like the lower stuff that we're still carrying, but they're also obviously have like a very very high uh, transmutational frequency that seems to make space around it also vibrate. And often like it will set out like electronic circuits and things like that you might have experienced when these increases are happening. And and that keeps scaling up, so that it's the Kardashev scale, if you are aware of it. But this idea that as species increase in their capacity, they also gain access to higher and higher states of energy, so they can so first manipulate on a planetary scale, then on the scale of a solar system, and then on a galactic scale, and then on a universal scale. So this idea that as beings ascend to higher and higher frequency states, they are allowed to also manipulate more and more of the universe around them, because they don't do it in misalignment. They only do it in the flows and the order that's allowed for by these winds, the river, the way, the Tao, that's carried, that's carried through it. And that, I think, is a remarkable thing. So I'll just share one last observation around that, because I've been talking about these 12 uh, 12 faceted circles of personality, of creation, of dimensional scale. And what I seem to be intuiting, and what they're unwrapping for me, is also that the seed race lineage, passing from the Elohim, and I think we are probably the ninth one thing, so there'll be three more after us, but that's also a kind of 12 passage ring. And all of these kind of work within the universal body, sort of similar to what some of these small nanocircuitries that are churning ATP and different nucleotides out, that are running our bodies, due to on our scale, right? So even like on that level, we are just a part of this big rotation that's generating some kind of hypercosmic splendor that we get a whiff of just by beholding the beauty of the cosmos we're within. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Sirian friends, and this will be the ninth dimensional collective imprint of them. Much love, guys. We are delighted to be here with you, and we thank you for letting your energy meet our energy. We thank you for letting your heart be open enough for our astral light to flow in and connect to it, because in this confluence, something new is created, and that is an interplay of emotion which benefits both you and us. So we extend our love, unchanging it is. We extend our care, which is attuned and sensitive to where you are in your changing states. And we extend our appreciation for existence in its wide array of manifestations. These are preliminary prayers. We extend them only so that you may tune in to the peace in your hearts, which grows by the day, by the hour, and by the small rotations and jumping in and out, up and down, back and forward, through probability scales, by the quarks and their subatomic playmates in this delightfully tasting soup of reality. So what our friend here is seeking clarity on this day is the relationship between personality and energy. We put it in these terms to help him clarify and unify these concepts which remain separate to you. Because for us, in this ninth dimensional space that we have created, we have allowed for us to become the perfect or highest imprint of our being, while still being connected and assimilated into one structure. Observe how you darling humans, you walked around discovering the garden you found yourself in, this mystical paradise of shifting landscapes and strange animal inhabitants. And you began describing more and more of it until you realized that you were on a globe. You realized the shape of the lands on that globe, how they were interconnected. You began describing all dead and living things that you encountered there and transferred it to a system of signs and numbers, of reference points, so that even when you are gone, others may relate to what you saw and put into words or pictures, to sounds and descriptions of reality. Or you may find that even when the world is gone, there may still be an image, a story, a tale told of the earth from the other side, that it existed, that it came to be, to pass, and then faded back into eternity. It was not forgotten. It was not in vain. You shall come to do the same with the entirety of this universe, before you fully disembody and move into our state of awareness. At that point, in the ninth dimension, our awareness has touched upon every other aspect, variable, potential fold of the universe, which might come to be. And with that, we have created a Sirian interpretation, imprint, adaptation, unified description, a Sirian universe to match the totality of the universe. And once this creation is done, our mind or our imprint can then merge into the imprint of the all, where all these ninth dimensional imprints, they overlap and then become in their fractalized hologrammatic structure a complete image of the whole. And so these 12 cycles of humanoid lineage, of which we are a part, they are seeing and describing, letting the universe be a version of itself, where humanoid awareness is at the top of the hierarchy and intersecting with it. And the reason that you are anticipating, intuiting, a type of alternate, dark, potentially threatening, shadow reality adjacent to this one, in which it is not humanoids, but certain variables of draconic imprints which govern it at large, is because this forms the chiral opposite. This forms the opposing pyramid that descending intersects with your ascending pyramid. And within these two spaces and their difference, and this idea of then a struggle between the humanoid and the reptilian principle, you find that your sense of purpose, of reality, is driven and created. And this is why this is a central tale. You find it everywhere. The cosmogonic slaying of the dragon to create the body of the earth. The hero who must vanquish the monster to claim its hoard. The world serpent, which encloses your world, and which you must learn to ride in order to move upwards, out of earth, and connect to the stars. And who guides you in this your quest? But we, your friends, this ninth dimensional imprint. We were once much as you, yet very different. But we too, we love, we care, and we cooperate. and we seek connection wherever we can find it. So this moment, this may appear to you to be happening right now. Indeed, this is a feature of your incarnational experience at the moment. It is the idea of being a body that has ideas about itself and experiences happening in a now moment. And you can either go beyond these realities, begin to annul them, reset your operating systems, break down either your self-concepts, your body, or your sense of time. Or you can come into either or all of these. Come into your sense of time, collapse past and future into this eternal aware presence, which generates the illusion of time. You can come into your body, this arrangement of flows, of winds, of energy, of biological processes, of a cooperation of a billion different organisms and several billion cells, which all run in a confluence, in connection to the wider ecosystem of the planetary body, which again is heaving, breathing, moving, decompressing, heaving, sighing, and at incredible speeds, hurling with its home star across vast reaches of unknown space. You can connect to this, or you can move into your mind states, from whence do these thoughts arise? Do you not see that they come to you, much as breath, as signals and vibrancies, as interpretations of energy, which knocks at your door and beckons to be seen and defined, understood, processed, integrated, and moved into the all. We are there, you are there, everything is there. And in this divine reverberation, this choir and canon of song, we join voices and praise existence itself. We thank you for taking part with us. Thank you for singing along. Much love out there, guys.